Welcome back. I feel like I'm in a little country and western cowboy show. Like, howdy. You know, I like the vibe. Welcome back to Sunrise, everyone.
In this town for the both of us.
For both. Pow, pow. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, thanks for being here on Sunrise. You know, we're reality TV. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
And, you know, matters of the heart. And when we are so touched and so moved, definitely we have to express ourselves. Now, words have power, and our next guest knows exactly how to use them. Yashika Graham is a rising literary voice whose debut poetry collection, Some of Us Can Go Back Home, capturing the attention of many. She's, trust me, out there and doing big things this morning. She's here to share her journey with us, her poetry, and the power of storytelling, the oral tradition. Good morning, Yashika.
Hi.
How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Looking so bright. I love your colors.
Thank you.
Very sunrisey.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So talk to us about your book, the poetry. You know, we know poem from long time, right?
Yeah.
What was your inspiration to start writing?
My inspiration for beginning my writing journey was I wanted to document the world I saw around me. I grew up in Westmoreland, and so I didn't so much see the world I observed around me on paper. And so for some reason, I just wanted to, I started out journaling at first. And of course, we have that rich storytelling tradition in Jamaica. And I wanted to see that on paper. So that was the initial impetus. And then somehow I got into the music of poetry. I heard a poem and I thought, that sounds very interesting. So I wanted to get into that aspect of it, to hear the music in the words.
You say you didn't see the world around you on paper. What was the world around you?
I grew up in very rural Jamaica, you know, no running water. We have to go spring for water. We have to go river for wash. There still is no running water in Berkshire, Westmoreland, but that world was not on paper. And so, you know, I have the inspiration of people like Lorna Goodison, of Olive Sr., who they document what you would call the ordinary life of the farmer, my grandfather who was a farmer, my grandmother, you know, like those people who live close to the earth. And you know, see them on TV so much, but I wanted to capture that and to put it on paper, to document it.
Wonderful.
What has been your approach then to putting the people of Berkshire and people like them on paper? Like, how have you gone about it? What is your signature style of putting them on paper, telling their stories?
I don't know if there is one particular style. I think I listen to the space and I listen to the voices in the space. So something that you might hear coming out is the voices of those people, of a farmer, of Mas Richard, of Mas Willie, of Miss Nellie, you know, hearing those voices and just observe that there's so much there's so much interest and
richness.
such richness to the conversations we have, the stories we tell. Nobody not telling a joke like Jamaican.
True.
And so those stories, listening to those things.
I'm happy that you spoke about, Westmoreland. I can't say it here on TV, but one of the most, what I would call poignant statements I've heard is from somebody in Westmoreland. And as, you know, Yashika's talking about listening to the conversations and how colorful they are, from the onomatopoeia to the simile to the metaphor, every literary device that you can think of is so well packaged. And it's like, wow, all of that happened. But for somebody who, how do you start even just writing? You just take up a pen and just start write? How does it go? And we're long gone are the days where the lines have to necessarily rhyme. Right? How do you do it?
It happens in different ways. So sometimes it's something that you've heard. My mother is a storyteller too. So she'll like tell me something that happened in 1968 or something, or, you know, 80s or something like that. And she is very interesting in what she talks about. And so sometimes after I decided that I wanted to be a writer, I decided that this woman is way too interesting not to document her. And so sometimes I have just lines that she has said. So I have a poem about my grandfather preferring his machete versus his fork, and she's the one who told me that story. And so you find that legacy of storytelling, that legacy of the history of the family, it comes down And so sometimes it comes through that, you know, wanting to write what has happened along this line. Yeah.
I don't know if you went to Manning's or wherever.
I started my high school journey at Cambridge High School, and when I moved to Kingston, I came to Ardennes. Yeah.
But like, of course, there are different qualities that you would pick up from, for instance, studying literature. If you went to sixth form, you would have been exposed to some more. If you go UA, then you're exposed. Like, what are some of the influences that you would have had then on you now and your love for literature, love for books, reading?
Yeah. Okay, so I started out talking about that storytelling, so that eye and that ear for the story and for what is rich in a story. That is, I think, we grew up with that, right? But then when you get to the school, you learn sort of the rules of, you learn the different, the tools, the tools that you can use to shape those rich stories. So that is, you have the impetus to tell a story, but then school helps you, or rather the craft of writing, that helps you to give shape to the work, right?
So how did you, the title, some of us can go back home. Talk to us about the significance of that.
Oh, wow, okay.
How did that come about?
Some of us, so I mentioned that I grew up in Westmoreland, moved to Kingston when I was about 14 years old. And so there is that kind of dislocation kind of thing, you know.
Where's home?
Should I be buying yam? Should I be buying ackee? You know what I mean? When you can walk, go out this and climb ackee tree and pick. Right, so some of those like dislocative kind of things called me to look back to that place. And I think I was also trying to find my way back home. Like, am I a country girl? Like, I think of myself as a country girl, but am I? I've been in Kingston longer. What does that mean? And so that journey for me led me into contemplating, what does it mean to leave a place where you're born? I was born in my grandmother's room there in the bush. So what does it mean to leave that place? And how are you defined as a person in the world? You know, so some of us can go back home, contemplate the degrees to which you can return to a place you're from.
Where really is
home? And where is home? Is home in your head? Is home a place? Can you make another home somewhere else? You know, so those are some of the things that I'm contemplating, looking at the people in the bush and looking at the self in the world. So belonging is a very big part of this text as well.
What other thematic issues do you tackle in the book?
There is love, there is loss. There, I tackle the issue of sexual assault because that is too part of the journey that I have experienced and survived, and so I'm tackling that too. So there is beauty in there is trauma, and there is, I think, that exploration of the fact that this land, this life experience is a layered one.
Yeah, not linear, multifaceted. Where can we get that book to buy?
You can get this book online. You can get it at bluebanyanbooks.com.
Oh, Blue Banyan.
Yes, and you can also get it at Bookland on Knutsford Boulevard in New Kingston. Yes, and you can get it at Craft Cottage, which is in shops at Southdale on South Avenue, also in Kingston.
Yes, to get it, we're talking about Black Wall Street, right here.
Support
we have a poet, we have a brilliant young lady, we're supporting her, Yashika. All right, so let me hear something from it now, please. Because I'm interested to hear that voice and that oral tradition coming out right here on Sunrise as we showcase our very talented Jamaicans and, of course, our strong Black women.
Definitely.
Poet and author, Yashika Graham.
So this is Love Letter to My Feet, with thanks to Melissa Phoebos. When I sprinted from that man-cross Christmas grass and sharp shifting rock, the moment slowing as I saw you, soaked in after rain, it was then I loved you best. Clean, giving hell, wet. Here's to you, my unsung, for how you humble yourself, though it is you why the world even eyes me, how you carry me tall, regal, you who move me when neither my hand nor heart is going. And forgive me for ushering you into anything stringed, forcing you to bend, be soft, when I know we are rough women. Forgive me for the pointed toe shoes my 20s commanded, pressing you together to make subtle, acceptable turns. Remember when I gave up heels, got back to bare feet, Remember when men asked your size, I welled up enough to usher gall from my gut, but you were just cool underneath. And how bruised you are, how dented, how grounded you are, how much of a map, how rugged you are, how steady, how square you are, how balanced, like banyan, like cedar, how strong, body root. I raise you up in honor. Thank you.